Hi guys, today we're going to do a review on atomic structure of the atom. There are different models. As you can see, we have two different models here, and our focus is really going to be where are the parts, what's the locations, and what are the charges and masses of these atoms. All right, so what is an atom? An atom is going to consist of a nucleus and electrons. An atom is going to be considered the smallest unit that we can break things down into. So elements that we can break elements into. So the nucleus is going to be in the center, and our electrons are going to be on the outside. So inside the nucleus, this is going to be the center of the atom. It's going to consist of protons, which are the positives right here, and neutrons, which are going to be these orange, no charge parts. The protons and neutrons together, each one of them has a mass of 1 AMU. AMU stands for atomic mass unit. This is a really fancy way of saying what is the mass or the weight of our atom. So this atom, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 protons, and from what we can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 neutrons. There's probably more on the other side, but if we wanted to determine mass, we would say the mass is 7 plus 6, which is a total of 13. So this atom would have a mass of 13. Again, the mass is always going to be in the center of the atom. It's where the weight is, but it's not very large. All right, out on the outside of the nucleus is going to be the electron cloud. The cloud is going to be the orbitals or shells surrounding the nucleus. The outside shell only holds 8. This is going to lead into our reactivity in our future lessons. Electrons are going to have pretty much no mass. We usually think of 0, but technically it's 1 1800th of an AMU, meaning it would take 1,800 electrons to equal the mass of 1 proton, which is why we say they pretty much have a mass of 0. When we go back to talking about the center of the atom, the parts do move, all except for protons. If you change the proton, you have then changed the name of the atom. This atom we're looking at right here has 2 protons. On the periodic table, the atom that has 2 protons or has an atomic number of 2 would be helium. So the atomic number is the same as the number of protons. If the atom is neutral, meaning protons and electrons are equal, which is most of what our 8th grade stuff is, then it would also have 2 electrons. If you remember ape, this would be ape man. This would be the atomic number equals the number of protons equals the number of electrons. All right, so electrons, they can move, and then when they move, you can have a positive or a negative ion. You have an ion based on if you have more positives or if you have more negatives. Excellent. Remember, though, that only the negatives are moving. The electrons are the only thing that can move. Protons cannot move. Neutrons can also move. We don't really talk about that in 8th grade much, but when neutrons move, it's called an isotope. You'll start talking about that more in high school. When we talk about charge and location, the proton has a relative charge of positive 1. Its mass is 1, and its location is in the nucleus. Again, your neutrons have a charge of 0, but they also have a mass of 1. Again, these two together in the nucleus make the mass of the atom. Electrons have a charge of negative 1. They are super, super teeny tiny, so we say they have a mass of mostly 0, and they're located outside the nucleus in the electron shells or the orbitals. We're going to get into talking about charge of an atom. So the charge of the atom, remember, that is called an ion. When protons and electrons kind of cancel each other out, positives take away negatives, they kind of cancel. So in our picture here, we have 2 positive protons. So we have 2 positives and only 1 negative. So this 1 negative would cancel out this 1 positive, and what is left over is a charge of plus 1. So this would be a positive ion of plus 1 because I have 1 more proton with the charge of positive than I do of electrons that have a charge of negative. So your key points are really 5 things. Atoms are the smallest unit of an element. They consist of 3 parts: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons are inside the nucleus, and they have identical masses. inside that nucleus. Electrons are on the outside of the nucleus in the cloud or orbitals, and they are so small that their negative or that their mass is pretty much negligent, and they have a negative charge. Protons are positive and electrons are negative. When these cancel out, they have a neutral charge. Neutrons have no electrical charge, and so do not factor into charging at all. An element is identified by its atomic number or the number of protons in its nucleus. Those are your 5 key points. Make sure that you're real comfortable with this before you move on to your practice activities.